Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you.
And with thy spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came to be through him, and without him nothing came to be. What came to be through him was life. And this life was the light of the human race. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came to be through him, but the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, but his own did not accept him. But those who did accept him, he gave power to become children of God. To those who believe in his name, who were born not by natural generation, nor by human choice, nor by man's decision, but of God. And the Word became flesh, and made his dwelling among us. And we saw his glory, the glory of the Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. The Gospel of the Lord. The prophet Isaiah would proclaim that people in darkness have seen a great light. Upon those who dwelled in the land of gloom, a light has shone. These are words that carry through the ages. In a sense, I think we can all even relate to them even now as we live. And so God has a solution which the prophet Isaiah is proclaiming for people who dwell in a land of gloom. A light has shone. That light is Jesus, the light of the world. It's interesting that in the manger, he's displayed having arms opened. And I was considering this and thinking that this is the posture that I see of children when they're happy to see their parents. It's the posture of Jesus who's happy to see you. And the arms of the child are outstretched so that they can be picked up and embraced and received. And Jesus presents this posture to us that we may pick him up and embrace him and receive him as he is the solution we truly seek. God's plan, a child born to us, a son given to us. Upon his shoulder, dominion rests. Like Jesus, every child comes with a message. The message that says, please pick me up and hold me. Please don't ignore me. Just pick me up and hold me. Babies need to be held. They cannot survive without it. And Jesus comes as an infant who is expressing a need for us to hold him. And he begs from the manger, would you respond to this need? Jesus is the little child who longs to be held by us. One could say that you are his Christmas present. And we can say that about each of us individually, because he's personal, and he's a personal God. While we can say he came to save the world, he came as God to save each of us individually. Yesterday at the 4 o'clock Mass, there was about 50 children here, and I was expressing this in a little bit different ways, but I had the child Jesus in my hand, and when I started talking about that, all the kids wanted to hold Jesus. Are you getting this, adults? They wanted Jesus. Father, can I hold him? That statue goes for almost $2,000, you know. I took a chance. I let them hold him. No problems. He still has all his arms and legs. But they were reaching out to touch him, and yet at the same time, the posture of Jesus in the manger is reaching out to touch us. And it's also interesting that he appears in a manger. Anybody know French? Does the word manger sound like manger? Or in Italian, is it mangia? Doesn't that sound like a manger? Yes, because a manger is a feeding trough. The symbolism is beautiful. He's in a feeding trough because he desires to feed the whole world. This is what we call the Holy Eucharist, where the body, the blood, the soul, and divinity of Christ is given to us. Him reaching out to us and allowing us to hold him. Can you imagine? He trusts you to hold in your hands. We should not leave this church today without somehow recommitting ourselves to Jesus and making an effort to hold him more dearly and cherish him in our hearts. There's a story of a man that came to me, a man who died tragically while away from home. Some of the details are adjusted for the sake of discretion. But because of his apparent lack of faith, his wife was frightened that she might not see him in heaven. During a confession to a priest who did not know her, the priest said, now Padre Pio did this kind of stuff, so it is possible. The priest said to her, I'm getting an inspiration that you're here because of someone in your family who died tragically, perhaps your husband. And she said, yes. How do you know this? See, the Lord is putting this on my heart. And you came to Christmas Mass with him 2 weeks ago. Is that right? Yes. And when you left the church, you found yourself in the parking lot and he wasn't with you. And you wondered what happened. Yes. What you don't know is that he lingered in front of the manger. And he asked Jesus to hold him. And he promised that he would hold Jesus in return. And it's been given to me that in his dying breath, he prayed, Jesus, pick me up and hold me and take me home. Do not leave without picking up the child Jesus today and for the rest of your life.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deus.